welcome to Level Down Glitching. I'm Steven, aka Snake Yukon, and this is a collaborative series between Brilliantly Epic and my channel, Level Down Reviews. Now, in case you can't tell by the title, what we're going to be doing is exploring glitches in games. And for our very first episode, we're going to Lordran, aka Dark Souls, one of my favorite games of all times. Now, there are a few stipulations to what we're going to be covering. First of all, we're not necessarily going to be covering every single glitch there. Some of the smaller glitches, such as certain clipping issues and invincibility frames and rolling and dodging, we're not going to be covering those. But if there is a big enough demand, we will cover them in a different episode. Also, the glitch cannot have been patched out. So the bottomless box glitch, the dragon head glitch, and also the Wyvern bridge glitch are not going to be included because they've been patched out and most people won't be able to execute them anymore. Which leads us to our third point. It has to be repeatable, so within the same conditions, anybody should be able to do these glitches. So, sad to say, the Moonlight Butterfly glitch, which I've heard several different people tell me how to do it, it's not repeatable as far as I can tell. Me and Jamberham over at Brilliantly Epic tried our best to do it, but it just never worked out. But if you know how to do it every single time, post down below and we will surely put it in a different video. But anyways, let's get glitching.
Have you ever thought that the binoculars are a pretty useless starting gift? Well, sir or madam, you probably are actually correct, but if you so desire, this can be the earliest glitch you can perform. During a conversation with an NPC, if you use the binoculars on the very last line of theirs, sometimes you'll stay in third person, and you can do this. This also lets you clip through some objects, like the bars to the female undead merchant. Sadly, you can't stay in that out-of-bounds area, which would be neat if you could. However, to get out of this, you'll need to either dodge, attack, or press the use item button again. But we're not done with the binoculars, so go and grab yourself a bow, and at least one arrow for this next glitch. So what you want to do is two-hand the bow. Then use your binoculars. While still in this view, tap the right hand attack, so you know R1 or right bumper, and then Viola. You can now be called Arrowhead. This glitch is only a static though, and it will stay with you till either you are killed or you decide to quit the game. Also, if you had any hopes that this will deal extra fisticuff damage, say like the backstab bow glitch, it doesn't. I tried, it doesn't. Now that we finally arrived at Firelink, have you ever wondered what lies at the bottom of the well there? Probably not, but it is very possible to do exactly that. While this really isn't a glitch per se, I do just feel a need to bring it up. Now, just jumping at it normally won't get you into it, but by jumping at the right spot from here, you can land in the well. And all that awaits you is death. Sorry guys, no secret out-of-bounds area here. If only, but we have one coming up shortly. So from here, let's take the Valley of Drake shortcut to Darkroot Basin. Along the way, feel free to get into the head of the Undead Dragon. It's kind of strange that I never noticed that before. In the Darkroot Basin, we have a fun little pointless glitch that you can perform on the Hydra in the area. Now, I'd recommend doing this later on since it's a little bit easier then, but you can perform it at the very beginning of the game if you choose to. Go to the Hydra and begin chopping off its heads. When you get down to only one or two heads before it dies, head back to the bonfire and activate it. Then head back to the Hydra. You'll find that it still only has that one or two heads, but this time it has full health. Now when you chop off the two remaining heads, since you reset its health, it'll still be alive without any heads, making it impossible for a melee-only build to kill it. Also, strangely enough, it'll still attempt to attack you, even though it shouldn't even be able to see or hear you. Now, if you go and quit your game though, all the heads will simply respawn and its health will also be at full. You know, just like what would happen if you quit during a boss battle. While we're still in the Dark Route, go up into Dark Route Garden and head towards this area where the second int is. It's this small section with a pit on the left side. Now this is going to be an out of bounds glitch and it can be pretty tricky to perform, and even though I've got it to work multiple times in a row, I've also gotten it to not work multiple times in a row, so this is kind of a forewarning on it. It may not work all the time with you. So this is what you need to do. Get the int's attention and try to get as close to this area that I'm showing right here as possible. Pretty much it's this small jutting out area in the section. Now try to be as close as you possibly can to the wall and try to lure in the int as close as possible and make sure that your back is against that wall. Now keep still and eventually the int will grab you. If everything is aligned correctly and you get out of the grab, spam that left and right hand attack to get out sooner, you will clip through the wall and fall into the void. Now if you have low health, you will quickly die in the drop, but if you have a good chip of health, you'll just fall for a really long time and then eventually die. So to get out of this without dying, just escape through the menu, and when you load your character, you'll start back on that thin stretch. So while you can apparently perform this out of bounds glitch at any portion of this stretch, this little section that I've shown you is the one that I've had the most success from. Now if it didn't work for you, it can really come down to several different variables, such as you not being close enough to the wall. The int may not have been close enough to the wall or close enough to you. Or maybe the angle is wrong, or even some other small factors that I do not know off the top of my head. But it is still possible to do this with a few attempts, and if you get lucky, you can start doing it multiple time after time. So let's move on to the Undead Parish, and depending on your skills and weapons, perhaps you've had issues with this guy here, the Binoculars Knight. And in fact, there's actually a pretty easy way to kill him. One that is very similar to a patch glitch that allows you to kill the Wyvern with a single arrow. So here's what you have to do. Simply get the Big Loaf's attention and have him follow you to Andre's place. When he arrives, just go downstairs and run towards Sin's Fortress. He won't follow you any longer, so no worries about that. Wait a little while, maybe talk to Sir Onion Knight here, and eventually you will receive souls in relation to the knight, so 800 souls in your first playthrough. And I've heard from some sources online that this isn't 100% given, so you might actually need to repeat it. Also on my PS3 version, as long as I got to Sin's Fortress and headed back to the church, the knight would always die. But in my PC version I couldn't do that, and I simply had to wait at Sin's Fortress until I got the souls. Now, for those that are a little more daring and simply don't want to circle strafe around him to attack, rolling and blocking the Bear Knight's attacks here and there, or doing the cheap little trick I just told you, then maybe you have the gusto to go up and just simply parry his attacks. Yeah, that is right. It's actually possible to parry the Bear Knight's attacks, but you can't actually rip-toast him though. So from the little research I did on this in the beta and early press demo of the game, it was shown that one could parry and rip-toast these guys. But apparently the rip-toast, and I'm going to guess backstabs as well, were removed. But the actual ability to parry their attacks wasn't removed, so that's why you can still do it. And while we're here at the church, let's go ahead and pick up the Firekeeper's soul on the altar. And it's time for an exploit glitch. Now, this is a glitch that will allow you to use certain items an unlimited number of times. Thankfully, this isn't as bad as the Dragon Head glitch, but still, it is exploitable, allowing you to easily get 99 humanities and tons of souls, so I would kind of hope that you don't use this for any type of griefing or even your first playthrough. That's not gonna stop you though, so I don't know why I'm telling you this. So this is what you need to do. Have an item that requires a confirmation in your item set. For example, a Firekeeper's soul, a boss's soul, and a homeward bone fall into this category. From here on out, it can be a little tricky, and if you aren't quick, you might want to rehearse this prior. Now, put in the use item slot the item that you want to use, so the Firekeeper's Soul for humanity, the Boss's Soul for souls, or the Homeward Bone to go back to a bonfire. And with that, it's time to get started. First, perform either an attack, a roll, or even a backstep. Halfway through the animation, press the Use Item button. After that, quickly pull up your menu and go into the Item menu. Press up to land on the dark sign, and finally press Select to use it. If you've done it correctly, instead of telling you that you will lose your humanities and souls while going back to the last bonfire, it will instead bring up the confirmation for either the Firekeeper's Soul, the Boss's Soul, the Homeward Bone, or what have you. Choose yes, and you will find that you don't lose the items that you just used. Now, if you didn't do the timing correctly, it will tell you the usual dark sign confirmation. Sometimes the timing is also a little finicky and weird on this. Sometimes I find that certain weapons I do a one-handed attack and it doesn't work, but when I two-hand it, it does work, so don't freak out if it doesn't work for you the first time around or when you try it again. Just two-hand your weapon and it might work better for you like it does for me. Although you probably should freak out when you're too slow to get into the item menu, thus you have the confirmation menu before getting to the dark sign, and you accidentally hit accept and use up that special item. If that does happen, quickly exit the game through either your Xbox or PSN dashboard, or if you're a computer user, press Alt F4. And if you're quick enough, when you load your game again, the game will set you back prior to that moment. So this is the risk that comes with the reward. So it's up to you if you want to risk it or not. Now for our very last glitch for this video, we're gonna have a little fun out of bounds glitch. Another one in this video, and it's one they can perform in front of the entrance to Sin's Fortress. Now, this one can be a little tricky to do, but it definitely is not as difficult or hard to do as the Dark Route one. But this one does require you to quickly pull up the menu and go to the quit game option. So if you're slow at that, best to practice beforehand. So remember, start, left, select button, up, and then your select button twice. So here we go. Get up to the gate and turn towards this wall here. Run towards it and jump onto it. Quickly exit the game via the menu, otherwise you'll end up falling to your death. Now load the game file and you should start out on the wall. If not, you'll need to repeat the previous step. From here, what you need to do is just jump diagonally right like I show you right here. Now this portion can be tricky. If you're like me, your first attempts at doing this will involve you simply running off the wall and dying. When you land, you won't die. Well, unless you have heavy armor and low health, so it might be a wise idea to just jump naked. From here, you can explore a little while, see some floating trees, and have a great view of the sun. Praise it like no tomorrow. Eventually though, you'll find spots that will drop you straight out of bounds, which will eventually kill you, but it does take a little bit of time. So to save your souls and humanities, simply exit through the menu, and when you load back in, use a Homeward Bone to go back to the last bonfire. Hopefully you have one. Now I've seen a few videos out there that showed and claimed that you can actually glitch into Sin's Fortress via this glitch by dropping at certain points, quitting and loading, but I've not been able to repeat any of these videos. So if you can actually perform that glitch and describe how to do it, I will add it to a later video and thank you in like the video somewhere.
And those are just a few of the glitches you can perform early on in Dark Souls. Now don't worry, we'll be returning to Lordran soon enough, but till then, post any suggestions down below for glitches you want to see in the upcoming video, perhaps maybe even some we happen to miss, as well as any other suggestions for games you want to see glitches in. Also, while you're down there, give the whole like, subscription, and all that spiel that everyone tells you about, even though you hate it. And also, if you're still bored, click on one of these two videos up here to watch a video on my channel, or one of these two for one's overall brilliantly epic. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.